On Friday, we will submit to the legislature a May revise. It will include the highest historic investment in K through 14 education in California's history. But with that, we are looking to transform, not go back to where we were, but to transform our educational system. And we are putting out a blueprint over the next 5 years for total transformation. And that blueprint includes creating a new grade and fully implementing a commitment that all 4-year-olds will get high quality instructional education by creating that new grade. TK will now be fully implemented in the state of California, a $2.7 billion investment. 3 hours minimum of instructional time is connected with that TK investment. We recognize that we need to provide more enrichment. We need to provide more wraparound services. We need to do more in the classroom to recognize the issues outside the classroom. $3 billion for community schools and wraparound services all up and down the state of California to build on many of these models of success. And we'll talk about that enrichment in a moment. And we're here because of all of you and the extraordinary surplus that provides this privilege. But $4 billion commitment for wellness, for mental health, a $4 billion commitment for universal screening and access to real treatment based upon need for every child 0 to 25 in the state of California, the most comprehensive, transformational youth behavioral health commitment this state has ever made. We also want to fulfill the promise that was made and promoted, and I give the former governor enormous credit for Proposition 49. Arnold Schwarzenegger made a commitment, and the people of California backed that commitment up. Provide support services after school, before school, and support services for activities and enrichment during the summer. That was the After School for All initiative. The problem is that set aside became a ceiling, not just a floor. At about $550 million a year wasn't enough to provide comprehensive after-school programs. And for all the good intention and for all the promotion, we've never been able to fill that universal commitment until today. We are announcing today a commitment that over the next number of years will total $5 billion each and every year, starting with $1 billion this year, but a commitment to fully implement and to fully advance that call for universal after school all up and down the state of California. We're going to get it done once and for all. $3.3 billion. $3.3 billion for teacher preparedness. $3.3 billion for grants. $3.3 billion to help with residency programs and loans. $3.3 billion to help support those teachers that are helping our poorest and most vulnerable communities with STEM, investing in math and science, and making sure that we have more resources to back up those teachers and those paraprofessionals. So we're really proud of that commitment as well. But we also, in closing, recognize that we also need to reduce a little bit of the stress by reducing the ratios across the spectrum for our teachers. And this budget provides money we have not had in the past. We talk about student-teacher ratios, but we've never had the resources to really address it until now. And we're putting in over $1 billion, $1.1 billion specifically to provide more counselors, more teachers, more support staff at schools all across the state. And we've numerically done it where we want to see no less than 5 in every low-performing school and low-income district in the state of California, minimum, so that we see real equity and real targeted focus at addressing some of those ratios. And by the way, on the TK, we're cutting the ratios in half, from 24 to 1 down to 12 to 1, with an additional $740 million investment. So we mean business when it comes to these ratios. And I'll just conclude by making 2 additional announcements. We talked about, some didn't like the phrase learning loss because they said you can't lose something you never had, which I understood. So we decided to flip that a little bit, and we call our commitment now $2.6 billion commitment this year, our proposal, to talk about accelerated learning. And to talk about accelerated learning through what we refer to as high-dose tutoring. And we want to not double down. We want to have interventions with high-dose tutoring to address some of the anxiety and some of the gaps because of the fits and start over this last school year. And so we're putting an additional $2.6 billion specifically targeted at scientifically based, really effective high-dose tutoring and investments that we think can make a real impact across the spectrum in our K through 12 education system. But I will just finally say that all that's nice, but one of the things I'm most excited about is this final announcement today. I'm very pleased to announce that we are going to open up, if we are successful with this proposal. It is not Prop 98 money. This is general fund money. Additional resources to open up 3.7 million child savings accounts, and providing opportunities for every low-income Californian that enters into our school system to have their own personal savings account, seeding it with $500 foster and homeless youth, an additional $500. No state in American history has ever done anything like this at the scale we are committing to do it. And then every first grader coming in will build off that and provide hundreds of millions of dollars of additional resources to build those accounts. If you believe in going to college, you got to create a college calling mindset. And once a mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form. A young child with even as little as $400 is 7 times more likely to go into college because they have a modest amount of savings. Without that, you don't even think like that. We're putting $2 billion up to create these accounts and create the opportunity for families to focus on financial literacy, focus on developing assets, and focusing on getting their kids to have a college-going mindset or a trade school mindset. It's about lifelong learning. We're not going to moralize, but we do recognize the world we're entering and the world we're living in, and our children are going to need more beyond the K through 12 or even TK through 12 experience. And so we're poised to do something that the academics have been promoting for decades, and the researchers have said it's one of the best investments in breaking the cycle of poverty. And that's providing something that the vast majority of parents don't even have. And that's a checking and a savings account in that young child's name where they can build up not only assets, but build that mindset in terms of creating that college-going culture. So forgive me for being so long-winded. I'm just profoundly enthusiastic about joining all of you here today. I'm so grateful for this privilege and opportunity to look at transforming public education in the state of California. It was transformed last year for all the wrong reasons. We're now going to transform it in the next 5 years for all the right reasons. And no longer will we be bottom in per pupil expenditures. And this state and our kids, I assure you, are top of our agenda. So